Ah, yeah, just about as groovy as a 10-cent movie. I'm your man, Calvin Gibbs. Welcome to Drama Talk Radio. As you know, Drama Talk is the show where the word drama, DRAMA, stands for Developing Real and Moving Art. And we are so happy, blessed, and pleased to have you with us today. We have an exciting show for you today because I have a very special guest who is with us from Austin, Texas area. A little bit about her. She is a multiple award-winning playwright. She's a creative activist. She's an advisory board member for the Atlanta Black Theater Festival and Urban Playwright United. She is also a sought-after panelist, peer reviewer, and consultant for various groups and organizations. She is a writer, actor, playwright, producer. Please welcome Jeanette W. Hill. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And it's good seeing you again. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. We first met over 10 years ago. And I will never forget watching you when I was in Austin doing that workshop, and you were there. You were kind of like an administrative type person at that time. You were kind of sitting in the corner, and I didn't know that you would bloom to do the things that you have done. And I want to say kudos to you because we need more people like you that are involved in the arts and moving our cause forward as well. So let's talk a little bit about your production company, and you can tell us the name of that.
It's JWHill Productions LLC. That's the profit one. And then we have a nonprofit one that we're going to kick up again called Sight Ain't Seen Productions. That's going to be geared more toward the youth in the arts area. That's
okay.
SAPROD.
Okay. So how long have you been writing and producing plays?
Okay, I've been writing plays. I always have to preface this by saying I was writing plays before I knew I was writing plays. That's how long I've been writing them. I didn't realize. I thought I was writing short stories. And one of my teachers, when he took my notebook, said, "This is a play." And I was like, okay. It didn't really matter to me. I'm telling my story. It didn't really matter what you called it. But he was gracious to me, and he loved it. Well, first of all, he accused me of plagiarizing it.
What?
He said, every time I see you, you're someplace with this yellow legal pad, and you don't even take, you don't do anything. Even at lunch, you're just writing. Let me see what you're doing. And I said, I'm not doing it in class. He said, and so he took it and he read it. He said, come get it after school. And I did. And he said, who did you copy this from? And I said, I didn't copy it from anybody. I said, you just told me you see me writing all the time. I said, I'm not copying from anybody. He said, you're going to tell me that you wrote this whole thing yourself? And I said, yes. He said, and he left it. He said, well, I'll tell you what. If you can find the students to participate in this play, because it's a play, I will let you stay after school in my room and you can rehearse, and then you can let other students come in and watch it. That's how much I believe in what you just wrote.
Wow. Hey, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny the preconceived notions that people can have about you?
Yeah, you're upset because you're accusing me of cheating. But then as soon as I can show you that no, I'm not. Well, in that case.
In that case, let me work with you.
Yes, that's okay. But it worked out well. It worked out well. It was a spark. That was the spark.
And it's funny also how you can read a script for a skit, and it can be for maybe a church, 10, 15-minute skit. And the way that you see it with your creative eye, it can be expanded. We did that with a playwright that Pastor Stan Hood, a skit called "If the Preacher Ain't Right," which was written for a church skit in a play as a skit in a church. We got the rights to it, and we worked on it and expanded it to a 2-hour gospel musical. and it ran in Chicago for about a month on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and we did extremely well with that. We even had the playwright come in and introduced him to the audience, and he was just so impressed that we could take that 10 to 15-minute skit and expand it to a 2-hour play and keep the message. That's most important.
Yes, that's really important. I don't think that people catch it all the time. I don't know what's happening to my sound here. Okay, that they catch it all the time, but if you have a solid theme, if you have a very solid theme, you can work it in so many different ways. And the fact that you just said you did a month's run on something that was initially probably a 10-minute, I'll call them short plays, but a 10-minute skit that you expanded to a full length and then gave it a run. And still kept, like you say, kept the theme.
Kept the theme. Because I believe that's most important, that you don't take away what the author's intended meaning was. It's okay it's okay to add characters or change scenes around or whatever, but I think it's most important to keep it pure with the author's intended ideas.
Right. You keep the vision. You keep the vision no matter what.
Keep the vision. Yeah. So, Jeanette, I was reading your bio, and I have a few questions for you. It says that you have courage in approaching the taboo subjects of the African American community. And I'd like to know, in this world that we live in today, where all the cards have pretty much been put on the table, what is considered a taboo subject in the African American community?
Those are the topics that we keep within us.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the My Silent City play, which is a play about domestic violence in the church.
Oh.
Where the church members are aware of it, but they try to act like it's something other than that.
Oh, really?
It's when you have incest and things in your family, and you have to cover it up because your thought is, oh wow, if this comes out, how embarrassing it will be for the dot to dot to dot. So you choose to victimize the victim once again by devaluing what has happened to that person and by covering it up, but just don't tell anybody and don't go back over there again unless somebody's with you. Okay.
Is that more? Do you think that's more prevalent in African American families than in non-African American families?
I think that it has a bigger impact on us because we're already victimized by society.
Right.
So this adds another layer onto it where we can't even be free within ourselves. Because if we find out that your brother has violated your daughter, we can't tell on your brother because society already thinks of a black man as a huge sexual beast. So if we go tell, now we validated all those things that they see, so that when your white neighbor sees you, she's doing this or going across the street now because she sees all black men as violators.
Right.
Even though she may have a family that is full of them. Still, there is something with the way society views the African American, the black culture, that no matter what it is, if we stand toe to toe doing the same thing, the way that we do it is worse than the way that it's done by anybody else.
And that's this funny thing about perception, how two people can see the same thing, but their realities are different of that same thing. It's amazing. And especially when you think about the United States of America, and how I've had people tell me, I don't see color. I don't see your color. And in a panel discussion, I was the moderator, and they kept saying that to the point that it really upset me. And I said, if I was to hit you in your head and walk away, and the police came and asked for a description, the first thing you would say was it was a black man. So how do you not see my color? Because if you don't see my color, you don't see me. I'm invisible. And you're
devaluing me by telling me that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my first thing to people, I have a friend who used to tell me that I don't see color. I said, then get your eyes checked. There's something wrong.
There's something wrong.
Something wrong. If you look at me and you don't see that I'm a Black woman.
So your plays that deal with the subject of incest in African American families and or churches and all, how are some of those events resolved? Because we know that pushing it under the rug and don't say anything about it is not going to resolve it. What are some of the resolutions that you have presented through your works?
Part of it, a lot of times we're doing something that's I'm going to say delicate. We know it's a trigger. We know it's a trigger, so we usually reach out to therapists, and we'll make sure that we have therapists. We'll put them in the program if they're not at the event themselves, which is not fine, because I really don't want anyone trying to engage the therapist at the play. We put their names and their numbers in there so that the people can contact them at a later date when it's safe to do it. Domestic violence is the same thing. We usually have safe, put up a booth, and we have information there, but because we also realize that the person who is the abuser may very well be with the person being abused at the play, we also put them in places like the bathroom and other places where that you can pick up the information, because we know it's not safe for you to stop and talk to the person right now when the person that gave you that black eye is standing next to you.
Right.
So we put it in the bathroom and in the men's restroom, because there are men that get abused as well. So we put them in both restrooms. We'll put them farther into usually our theater is inside a museum. So we'll put them in other places in the museum so that you might be able to walk past and pick up that information and be able to contact them when you get a chance. We tell people that maybe it may be because a lot of people are in denial when they're in those situations, not so much denial, but fear will trigger denial, because one of the ladies told us that her boyfriend had been hitting her, but she wasn't abused because she hit him back. And it's like, okay, but he's 6'2" and he weighs 230 pounds. You're 5'1" and you weigh 175. I don't believe you can go with him punch for punch.
Right.
I don't believe it. And secondly, it's very dangerous, because that may anger them. I'm not saying don't protect yourself if you can, but if you're doing a punch for punch and you're trying to fight, that may anger them to a point where there's more damage done than initially may have been, where initially he may have pushed you against the wall and hit you. Now you're swinging at him and he thinks you've engaged him in a fight. And so now it's, it is punch for punch. One of the ladies told her husband had beat her to the point that she slid to the floor. She could no longer stand.
Wow.
And when I talked to him, because he was someone I knew, I didn't know he was doing it at the time, but later when I talked to him, and it was the most incredible thing. I think I almost lost it, because I think I almost hit him. And I asked him why was he doing that? Because I was friends with him and the wife's brother. He said, well, she never told me that she didn't like it, or that she wanted me to stop. And I was like,
exactly.
I don't want to say his name, but I was like, are you out of your freaking mind? You think that you twice her height and twice her weight. You think she wants you to hit body blow after body blow till she can't stand, and she has to go to the hospital and lie that she fell down steps, and they know she didn't fall down any steps.
Wow.
And you said, well, she never told me that she didn't like it. And then when he went to court, he was upset because the judge told him he had to go to therapy. I don't need any man telling me what I need to do.
Okay.
I don't need that white man telling me what to do.
Okay. He had issues beyond issues there. Yeah.
He was a police officer.
Oh. Okay. That could be a subject for another segment. That could be a subject for another segment. Hold on to that. But I'm glad you mentioned that men can also be the subject of domestic abuse, because recently I went to one of my local libraries. This is before the pandemic, and in the bathroom, on the men's bathroom door, inside the door was a label, and it was like if you are a victim of domestic abuse, call this number. And I thought it was kind of strange that it was inside the men's bathroom, and I wondered if it was inside the women's bathroom as well. But you make a very good point with that.
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. Very good.
And the 2 points we have to remember with that, particularly when we're talking about our culture. One, the last thing a Black man wants anybody to know is that his wife or his woman is beating him.
Yeah.
Secondly, he cannot retaliate or even in a lot of cases defend himself because, again, culturally and in society, even if she jumped on him and he does anything to try to protect himself and they call the police, he is the one that's going to be pulled away.
This is true.
Unless they get some true evidence of her jumping on him when they get, other than that, he's the one that they're going to take away.
This is true. And I'm glad that you talked about domestic violence in this COVID environment. And there's a lot that has been reported as far as domestic violence. And to a degree, I understand how people can get on each other's nerves when they're sheltered in place for a period of time, starting like in March through April,
August.
June,
yes.
Especially. I know that my wife and I were sheltered in place. And although we have a 3-story house here, it became a little crowded.
Yes.
And it's just her and I.
You have no outlet. There's no outlet.
It became a little crowded. I'm not going to lie, but we talked about things and we, talked it over. We realized what situation was. It is what it is. And if either one of us needs space, then we need to be able to have that space.
Exactly. And you have a healthy relationship. So now you think about people who are already in a tenuous relationship.
Yeah.
And now you used to be able to leave there and go to work and be safe for a minute. The kids will be able to go to school and be safe for a little while. But now you're all clustered in possibly a 5 or 6 room house.
Yeah.
And as you say, there's no place to get space. There's nowhere that you can go.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what do you do? So whatever those triggers were before that happened occasionally are not going to start happening on a much more frequent basis. And now you take away the job situation, okay, where, he used to go to work and now it looks like he may not be able to go to work and make that money anymore.
That's true.
Maybe wife is still working and making money. So now, again, there's a slap in the face to my manhood.
Yeah. And all it takes is a spark to blow it up.
Just one.
Yep.
Just one.
Yep. So we talked about the COVID environment that we're in. As far as theater, I was shocked to hear, or for me, who is a theater enthusiast, when I heard that Broadway had canceled its season for the rest of the year. I was like, oh my God, this is really true. This is real. For me, that was like...
it made it real quick.
That was the moment for me. It was like, oh my God, this is real. No more trips into New York to go to a show because there's not going to be any show. How will theater survive? So
and right now, it's shaky.
Yeah. So with the work that you do, how have you adjusted to not being able to do in person?
Well, what I do, because I'm always trying to, I know I'm getting really tired of this term out of the box, but before it became vogue to do the online readings, I started doing online readings. I started at the beginning of COVID. I started the last part of March, first part of April. And so we've been doing a series. We did it, so I said, okay, if I'm going to keep doing this every other Monday, I need to come up with a name other than we're doing a read. So I named it Monday Magic. And Monday Magic is a time when you can get away. You get your wines and your wine and your wings, your popcorn and your drink, and you get away from reality for a while. You don't have to listen to politics. You don't have to listen to things about COVID. You can just kind of sit down and just look at some people that look like you and see what's happening in their lives. And so we make it somewhat more than just a reading, because For you purists, let me tell you up front, I'm not apologizing. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
You will never, ever, 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 ever,
Ever?
see a Jeanette play reading where people are sitting in black in front of black music stands, just reading and turning pages.
Okay. Okay.
It doesn't happen.
Okay.
It doesn't happen.
Now I gotta follow that up with why?
Because one, we're talking about theater. And yes, I know reading is developmental work, but if we're developing it, I want to see it develop as much as it can. So if you're supposed to be Clyde the barbershop guy, I want to see you look like Clyde the barbershop guy when you're reading your part.
Okay.
I want you to sound like Clyde the barbershop guy when you read your part.
Okay.
I don't want to hear you sound like Calvin.
Okay.
I want you to be Clyde. That's why you have that script. That's why you have that jacket on. That's why you in there with your razor in your hand. That's why you're there. Yes, I'm going to ask for props. Yes, I'm going to ask you to dress as your character. I'm going to ask you to be that character.
That's a very interesting aspect of a read. I have seen many of them, and as you said, it's always actors or readers at that point dressed in black, up on the stage with a podium in front of them, a script stand, if you will, and they're all looking the same.
Yeah, we got in a little trouble at National for that because that was what they wanted, and no, that's not what we do. That's not what we do. In a physical space, we even do a little blocking, but we're not there. But so now we're going to try to use a virtual background. We're going to try to make it's not theater. We understand that streaming is a hybrid, but by now we're 6 months in. So at this point, we need to realize that it is probably not going away. In some iteration or other, that this live streaming, this online theater development will still be here even after Broadway opens, because you have to remember when it opens in March or April, I truly doubt if you're going to have people flocking to theaters shoulder to shoulder when we've buried 150,000 people.
That is true.
It's going to take a minute to build that back up.
Well, Jeanette, that's about it for this segment. I'm going to stop you right there. If you want to contact Jeanette Hill on Facebook, her Facebook page is JWHill Productions LLC. You can also email her at Jeanette at JWHillProd.com. Jeanette, I want to thank you for being on for this segment. And
thank you so much for asking me. It's a joy to even get to touch base again.
Oh, we're going to continue because we haven't even begun to scratch the surface, but that's going to be on the very next segment. And for Drama Talk Radio, I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. It's always important that we take 2 steps to the rear and get on out of here. Until the next segment, exit stage left.